What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to GmiasWorld Podcast. And if you were like me, you were watching the Jets and the Browns last night and wondering how these two NFL teams are actually in the NFL. But let's just go ahead and break it down to kind of figure out what was going on. Number one, Trevor Siemian has to be one of the luckiest men ever to walk on this planet, to have the opportunity to play in the NFL. Now, he was hurt, okay? It did look kind of crazy the way his leg extended, but throughout the game when he played, it kind of showed that the Broncos made a very, 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 very bad decision. I think that's the team that drafted him. And, after that, him still being able to get work in the NFL is kind of hilarious because Luke Falk, the third string guy, the second string guy for last night, because obviously Sam Darnold is the starter, but he actually came in, Luke Falk, and put in some work. He almost had 200 yards. He looked pretty good. He was good. I like that. I think going forward, he could be good while they figure out what they're going to be doing about Sam Darnold with, he's diagnosed with mono. But I just want to kind of point out that Siemian was so bad that Le'Veon Bell was the quarterback pretty much for the entirety of the time. They were intentionally coming out in Wildcat regularly just to make sure that Siemian just didn't have the ball. Like, they were trying to figure it out. Adam Gase trying to see, look, this guy is a terrible quarterback, but how can we work him in? But again, he is injured now, so we have to see what happens afterwards. But again, the way that the Jets offensively looked was very, very disgusting. Defensively, they kind of held on for very, very long. The second half, that breakout, was it the second half? I think it was the second half, with the breakout run. OBJ, 89 yards. That was like the biggest part of the game because obviously if you leave him and you don't press OBJ, he's electric. The dude is going to get... Once he gets ahead of steam and he's out front, you're not going to catch him. So I don't know why they would call that soft coverage and let him just, break through the middle like that. He puts his foot in the ground, takes the one step, he's gone. But other than that, defensively, I think the Jets played very, very well. I like what Greg Williams is doing with that defensive core. Jamal Adams is balling out of his mind. I think that they have to figure out offensively what their identity is while Sam Darnold isn't there, because otherwise they're gonna probably lose every game while Sam Darnold's out. And then this kind of gives you guys some insight because I've been telling you guys since last year when I watched Sam Darnold, what did he do? He threw a pick six against the Lions and then came back and beat the Lions into the ground. I can't remember exactly how it worked out, if that's the way it worked, but I know that he showed that he has signs of being a very good quarterback in this league, and they really need him. They really, really need him right now. It's very, very important that he heals up. Obviously health first. Hopefully everything goes well with him. He is quarantined in his own home, trying to figure out, let his body heal up properly. But the Jets are really, really lost right now offensively. And it really, watching the game, it was such a bad experience for me. Because you know what it is? It kind of makes you miss, it makes you miss Randy Moss, Terrell Owens. You remember those days when those players were playing, Calvin Johnson, and you just knew that whatever went on, you were going to get an exciting play. OBJ kind of gives you that right now, but it's not the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't always get it. You knew you were getting that. Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, those guys went out there, and it's like, oh my goodness, you know what you're about to get. And it was crazy because now I'm going to switch over to the Browns. And early on in the game, I know they were winning the game. They had a couple field goals to start, and they got a touchdown. But Baker Mayfield is not looking like himself early in games at all. This game could have turned easily. If the Jets were able to get anybody that could throw the football, they wasted a lot of time. Once they put Falk in, if Falk would have played, if Falk would have started the game, it would have been a different turnout because Siemian was just a waste of time throughout the entirety of the game. And I think it just kind of delayed the process. But I really enjoyed watching Falk play. But as far as the Browns, getting back to the Browns, obviously Chubb had a rushing touchdown, but the way that their offense was working, they have a lot of weapons. And I don't know. It doesn't look like the same Baker Mayfield. He threw the ball very, very errant. OBJ was wide open on a crosser. He overthrows it high. You had several times it was like he was throwing his receivers into danger. With this specific hit with Njoku, he throws the ball in a very, very awkward way. The guy goes low, he falls on his neck. He was just throwing the ball, it looked like, to get his wide receivers and his tight end just, carted off the field. There was no kind of, protection. How usually quarterbacks, good quarterbacks, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning's, those guys, they'll kind of throw you into safety. Baker was kind of throwing them into danger, in my opinion. All right. Now, I don't know if he needs time to warm up. I don't know, what's going on with him outside of football, but he didn't look like the Baker that I was really enjoying watching last year. He looks a little bit different. He did have some decent throws, but for the most part, it's not the same thing. All right. We got to figure out what's going on with that. Try to see, maybe his mind is not there. I don't know. But going back to OBJ and his 89-yard touchdown, that I think he needed that. Early in the game, he one-handed another corner. Like, the dude just be embarrassing dudes, but that's pretty much all the pizzazz. Like, that's what OBJ has. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to go out there and do certain plays that are going to make you say, oh my goodness, that defender should be fired from the NFL. But then he's also going to go through parts of the game where, he's non-existent. And up until that point, like, he was catching the ball a little bit here and there. He had, pretty much getting open. But the thing about it is the difficulty that it looks like these quarterbacks have, getting him the ball. Because it doesn't make any sense that this guy is running around wide open and Baker Mayfield is throwing the ball everywhere else other than where it should be getting thrown. And that one example that I gave you, that wasn't the only time that Baker Mayfield overthrew a receiver or did something weird. So we got to see how that relationship is going to go, because I bring that out because OBJ wants to do exactly what he just did. He wants to be flashy. He wants to be able to go out there and put up numbers. And if he's not going to be doing that, I don't think he's going to go kick the net or anything like that, like he did with the New York Giants. I just think that he's going to start to show that he's very, very unhappy with a lot of the things that are going on, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? You gotta grease these guys' egos. Like, you can't just have him out there and he's not really getting, his fair share. Landry, he caught some really, really huge passes. And the thing I like about Landry is he doesn't look like he has that ego, but I know he does, though. Because the dude has his hands, like, the dude catches pretty much anything thrown in his direction. And a lot of the times, going back to the way that Baker Mayfield was throwing the ball, Baker Mayfield was throwing the ball so wildly that it looked like he wanted him to get injured. You know what I'm saying? Because dudes were hitting. Greg Williams, I think he really tells these guys to go out there and just hit as hard as possible. Because every time the Jets made contact, it felt like real football. Now, I don't want to really. I'm gonna go into go into Myles Garrett in a second. As far as the Browns defense go, because the Browns defense looks insane. Offensively, I have issues with them. But I just wanted to make sure that I touched on this with Landry. Landry is a sure hand. Good, like he's just a bro. He could. Dude got stickum. I don't know. I don't want to say he got stickum because people might investigate him. I don't know if he's like doing like a Jerry Rice thing, but the dude catches pretty much anything thrown to him. You know what I'm saying? And that was very, very good to watch. But Greg Williams has those Jets hitting crazy. So I would be very, very careful for anybody that has to play the Jets defensively. They are really, really good, in my opinion, defensively at this point right now with the personnel that they currently have. Now, getting back to defensively with the Browns, Myles Garrett is an outright animal, okay? He got called for roughing the passer on a play early in the game before he got like 3 or 4 sacks. But that he was off the hinges, bro. And he got called for it, I think, when he was offsides too. Dude read the snap a little bit too early. He's unbelievable. He's by far one of the most unbelievable, like, right now in the league, he has to be up there. Like, as far as defensive pass rusher, he has to be that guy is outrageous. And he was so exciting because he was just bull rushing. And like, you know what's weird? I don't know if it's the lineman or if it's just Myles Garrett is that good, but that's what's so exciting about early in the NFL season. You start to see certain things and then you want to see how it goes throughout the season. But he was just straight bull rushing and just coming right in and just dominating any quarterback that was back there. It didn't matter who was back there. He was just always involved with the play. He looked extremely good. He made the game exciting for me to watch more than the offense of the Browns, with the exception of the 89-yard touchdown, which was actually very, very nice with the way that OBJ was able to juke and get up there. But overall, the first half of this game, the Jets had opportunity to stay in the game. It's just like I said, they're lacking at the offensive side. They really need Sam Darnold back, but it's going to be at least a month, so I don't know how it's going to go. As far as the Browns go, I still don't know what I'm expecting from them throughout the season, because they beat a bad team, but they didn't beat them the way I think that they wanted to. It was a lot of touch and go, and it could have went either way for the most part of the game. But the one thing that I tell you is that defense for the Browns is really, really good. And I like the Jets defense as well. I want to thank you guys for joining me for another week of GmiasWorld Podcast. Be sure to check back throughout the week. I'm available, GmiasWorld Podcast, iTunes, Android, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Be sure to download it to your mobile app. Until next time, enjoy your day. One love.